afternoon. Welcome to Class 2 of To Be a Jew. This is a class based on the book To Be a Jew by Rabbi Dunnan on a daily guide to Jewish observance in a contemporary lifestyle. What does our daily Jewish life look like? And that's basically where the rubber meets the road. We are Torah-driven, Torah-based. But how do you take that out of the Torah and put it into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Shabbos, and then Sunday, and then over and over and over again? How do you do that? Well, that's basically what this class is about. And that's what all of the classes here at Shalom are about. And of course, your first class, where we were working with just breaking that paradigm shift, causing a paradigm shift from where we came from and how we worshipped and why we worshipped and who we worshipped. And understanding that everything we do is from a Jewish perspective. Everything. And because we're humans, we have a propensity to do what's known as leaking. That means that sometimes we forget. And the one beautiful thing about our Jewish lifestyle is we have daily prayers that happen every day, every afternoon. We have, when we're shopping, we go into a market looking for kashrut, looking for the things that Hashem says that it is okay to utilize, to eat, to work with, to use. And so, because we have this, we have a background, we have a benchmark. And that's what we're discussing. That's what we're talking about here. Someone asked at the end of last class, what do I want you to take out of this class? And we used a word last week, resolve. And the resolve is you knowing who you are in your Jewish lifestyle and who you are, so that you don't have any type of environment where someone comes up to you and says, are you Jewish? Oh, you're Jewish. Well, did you do this? Did you do? No, I'm Jewish. Enough said. Next, let me share with you about your Jewish lifestyle, or what your Jewish lifestyle should be. Okay? Not as them coming to you as the halakha police, per se, but as knowing who you are as a Jew and what you say and what you do on a day-to-day basis. This is why we recommend the book, To Be a Jew. It is a basic book written by an Orthodox rabbi, specifically for Western Jews and individuals who have forgotten what it's like in their Jewish lifestyle and how to come back to it. Those individuals who have become acclimated into a non-Jewish lifestyle, how do you get back to that? Well, this book is a very good foundational environment for that. I've always said about the book, it is not a book to be placed on the library shelf. It should always be out on the book, on the table or somewhere, so that if you need to ask a question about something, you can always come, pick it up. And this book has something that all books have. It has an index. And as you know, the index is in alphabetical order. So if you need to understand something about it, then you go down the index and you look that way and you find out what you're looking for. As I said, this book, my book, is marked. I don't know whether you can see that or not. Mark it up. Okay, it's yours. Don't buy this book to take it, okay, I'm finished with it now, so I'm going to sell it back or sell it to someone else. This is your book. Let me ask you a question. Are you going to take your Torah? Okay? And then when you're finished with it, are you going to take it to a half-price book, or are you going to take it someplace and just, okay, I need to get rid of this? No. This is yours. Okay? So, just a simple review from last week. I wanted to make sure that we understood about our synagogue, okay, which you already know. Okay, we are an observant Jewish synagogue centered around Yeshua. Okay, Shalom actually proclaims Yeshua as the living Messiah and the hope of Israel. Okay, we believe that Yeshua is the manifestation of Hashem in the flesh. Now, I want to make sure that you understand you will not find anything about Yeshua in this book. Okay, so know that right off. The purpose of the book is so that we understand who we are on a day-to-day as far as how do we do our prayers, when do we do our prayers. How many of you have Siddurees? Okay? That's why I was saying in the beginning of your Siddurim, go into on prayer. There's an excellent expose here on prayer. We use the Ashkenaz now. I have both the Ashkenaz and the Sephardic. I just like to look at the differences between the two. There's some subtle differences, but we've standardized pretty much on the Ashkenaz here at Shalom. So if you're wondering which Siddurim to purchase, to get after Shabbos, go with the Ashkenaz. So, and another thing about that is, this is my Siddurim, my Siddur. Okay? You see how I have tabs on it? There's a reason I do that. It's so that I know where to go, how to get there real soon. Okay? If I need to get there, okay, and you, then I can go there and do what I have to do. Okay? Mark it. It's okay to do that. All right? Just do everything in good taste as far as Hashem is concerned. Now, I wanted to discuss, I touched on it just a little bit, but the reason for the commandments. This is chapter 3, by the way, in the book. Okay, the reason for the commandments. The only reason that a devout Jew needs for the observance of any of the commandments is that they reflect the will of Hashem. As an obedient servant of the Lord, it is his duty to carry them out. In other words, Hashem says, do this. Our response is, yes, Lord. Now, I've heard a song called Yes, Lord, yes, Lord, yes, yes, Lord, okay, but when we get out of that song, then we go to, well, maybe, Lord, and, well, Lord, I just don't remember what I was saying when I was kind of inebriated, when I made that promise, so I'm going to go back and recheck this, okay? So, what is it that we do as Jews? Everything we do as Jews, everything is unto Hashem, everything we do. When we're praying as unto the Lord. We're doing what's necessary to keep commandments. Is our salvation done through commandments? No. Our salvation is done through Yeshua. Okay? But after salvation, what is there? Keep my mitzvot. Okay? That's it. Do we need anything else to deal with that? No. Keep my mitzvot. That's it. Okay? Let me go to page 34 in here. I want to read something to you. 34. Where is it? However, this has never stopped the Jew from trying to understand. Sorry, the light is kind of dark here. To understand the reasons for the various laws and commandments. By searching for the reason, he felt he was drawing himself close to the mind of the divine. He was thereby raising himself spiritually. Now, basically, what we're talking about is we're talking about why we keep the commandments. The only reason, and let's see, the inability to grasp a sensible purpose to find a reason was never used by a man of faith as to the pretext or excuse for discarding the observance, or even for asserting no reason or reasons for not keeping the commandments. Pages 33 through 35 through 36 cover the sanctities of a person, or the sanctities. When you get there, you can read those: the sanctities of a person, the sanctity of time, the sanctity of place. All of Jewish law can be defined in the terms of one or another of these categories. What is a holy person? Okay, what is a holy person? Now, in the Drosh, we heard that holiness is all about what? What book of Torah that speaks on holiness? Most of all that we've heard so far. Okay, Leviticus. Okay, a holy nation, a holy priesthood. That's who we're called to be. We're called to be holy in all things that we do. Sanctification and life are one and the same. We are called to be apart from who we are, what the world calls us to be. When you look at the seventh, the Torah, when you look at the Shabbat, which is another thing that we'll be discussing today, the Shabbat, the day set apart, the island of time, it's set apart to allow us to rest. Well, in many instances, most individuals don't know how to rest. And so resting is something that we can help you understand and help you learn how to do. Resting. Does resting mean this? Does resting mean just stopping? Resting means a lot more than just understanding how to just sit down and be still. Resting is an art, and it's a art on how to be still and how to hear the voice of Hashem. That is a reason why we keep the Shabbat. That is a reason why when we're in the mornings, when we're praying, when we're donning tzitzit, when we're wrapping tefillin, when we're putting on our prayer and our talit, and when we're donning kippahs, we're there setting ourselves up in the day so that our day is set apart, and that's where we're to be. We spoke about Deuteronomy, or Devarim, chapter 6, and I want to take just a bit of time to go over that again because it's very important. It's also where we find our Shema. And again, reading in verse 20 of Devarim 6:20, someday your child will ask you, what is the meaning of the instructions, laws, and rulings which Adonai our God has laid down for you? Then you will tell your child. Then, hello. Okay. Then you will tell your child, we were slaves in Egypt, to Pharaoh in Egypt. And Adonai brought us out of Egypt with a strong hand. Adonai worked great and terrible signs and wonders against Egypt, Pharaoh and all of his household, before our very eyes. He brought us out from there in order to bring us to the land he has sworn to our ancestors that he would give us. Adonai ordered us to observe all of these laws, to fear Adonai our God, always for our own good, so that he might keep us alive as we are today. It will be righteous for us if we are careful to obey all these mitzvot before Adonai our God, just as he ordered us to do. There is no reason why we should not keep mitzvot. You cannot give me a reason why we can't keep the commandments. If you can give me a reason why we don't keep the commandments, basically it's because of something that you have decided that you're not going to follow Hashem, because they're written in black and white. I also spoke about emunah, trust. The difference between faith and trust. While we're beginning, in the beginning of your walk here in this lifestyle, and it is a lifestyle because you have made a change. This is not a phase of some other religious walk that you're in, that you were in. You are now Jews. That's it. And so you're not turning back. And so you're going to trust what the Word says. Trust requires hearing. Faith requires doing. And there's a difference between trust and faith. Emunah, I hear, I believe. Now that I hear and believe, now I do, and I do by faith. And that's the difference between trust and faith. And what happens to get us to trust is what we do on a daily basis. When we get up in the morning, before we even look at that alarm clock, Adonai Modeh Ani, or even to the point where we're doing the Shema Israel Adonai Eloheinu. Whatever we're doing, the moment we start, as it says in the Tehillim, our tongue is the pen of a ready writer. It sets the appointment. It sets the tone of the day. That's how we begin our days. And in a Jewish lifestyle, in an authentic Jewish lifestyle, that's the way we begin. We begin with, Hashem, thank you for restoring my spirit back into my body. Thank you for bringing me through this time during the evening when my body was refreshing itself. Now that I'm back here, Father, this day is yours. And this is what we do daily on a day-to-day basis. So that's what emunah is helping us to do, is emunah is helping us to remember the awesomeness of God. It's helping us to appreciate the gift of creation. When we are, how many of you have actually gone out and watched an actual sunset and appreciated that sunset and actually looked at it and said, Hashem, this cannot happen without you. You know, we're kind of naive and we say the sun sets, and the sun doesn't actually set, right? Because it's not the sun that's moving. You know, it's us on the earth making rotations around the sun. So it's not actually a sunset, but you know, that's what we're calling it. To trust in God brings peace of mind. There are things that all of us are going through on a day-to-day basis. We go through things daily. Things that some of us are so heavy that if another person knew about them, they'd say, how can you go through this? Emunah, trust. And because I'm trusting, now I'm having faith to go out and do. I promise you, you are not the only ones. We all are going through this. This is why we're wanting you to be firm in who you are. When you leave, make sure that your questions are answered. Even when you're doing the marketing and you go out and you see something that you have a question about, you can actually get online, ask the questions with the shul, and find out, is this something that is right to do? Halachically, we can get those answers for you. So, you know, just as we use resources, you have resources. And so we're asking you to actively use those resources. And of course, now being in our own building, now we're evolving into environments that are going to make those resources even better. Happiness comes from mastering the art of appreciation. Wow. Appreciation. Hashem, I thank you. Todah Rabbah. Thank you very much that I have eyes to see, that I have ears that I can walk, and yes, that I can drive, and that I can get to Shabbos, I can get to synagogue. And yes, thank you, thank you, thank you. And as you're in this environment on a daily basis, let what we do when we're davening, when we're and when we're dawning, and when we're being nice to each other, and we're going to discuss that. Whatever we're doing, let all of that be in a sign of appreciation. Okay. So those are some of the things that I wanted to go over, just kind of from last week, and just kind of an overview. Let's go on now to let's see. Let's go to chapter 4. Turn to chapter 4 there. What page is chapter 4 on? Begin on 41. Okay. Kindness. Kindness, a means and an end. When qualifying the Jewish daily way of life, kindness, or hesed, learn that word, hesed, okay, is above all. We as Jews believe that Jewish religious faith and ritual observance aim above all to achieve a perfection of the human relationship and to create a better society. Now, does that mean that we are totally involved within ourselves? No. It means that we have an infrastructure in place that we don't have to try and figure stuff out. We have a daily infrastructure in place for prayer. We have an infrastructure in place so that we know that it's time to pray. It's time when we go to the market and shop, we go kashrut. When it's for our children, we had a bar mitzvah today. We had bar mitzvah last week. When our sons are born, and what's it called when our sons are born? The bris milah, exactly. Okay, so the bris milah. We've had several bris here. Well, there will be more bris of circumcisions because of the boys that are being born in the shul, and all of these things have purpose, and the purpose is to understand that, as in Jewish lifestyle, we are covenant people. And even now, the covenant that we're under right now is not the old covenant. We are a renewed covenant. It is the same covenant. It is not a new covenant. We are still doing the same things Yeshua did. We are still doing the same things that Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob did. And we'll continue to do that until it's time to be in the Olam Haba. Okay. So we must remember that the great sage Hillel summed up the essence of Judaism by saying, "What is hateful to you, do not to others." Now, where have we heard that before? It's called the Golden Rule in other faiths, okay, in Christendom. Now, Rabbi advised that at the beginning of the second century, okay, that's when that was. Leviticus or Vayikra 19:7. Love your neighbor as yourself. As summarizing the essence of the whole Torah. 3 characteristics of Jewish people. We are merciful. We are modest. And perform deeds of kindness or hesed. Okay? The Talmud describes these characteristics: merciful, modest, and kind, deeds of kindness. All who proposed these three characteristics were considered worthy of becoming part of the people. There is a reason to be suspicious of the Jewish credentials of one who is cruel. Now, I'm going to discuss something called a good heart. Now, this book talks a great deal about a good heart. And so I was wondering, why so much about a good heart? In actuality, the Talmud's prerequisites for a truly pious and observant individual. The absence of a good heart is a blemish upon the religious wholeness of the individual. Excuse me. By the same token, acts of injustice or brutality or of dishonesty, of deception, of slander, of unkindness, of all religious transgressions against God, no less than they are crimes against man. So all of these things are not just crimes against man, but they're also crimes against God. Okay? What is an act of kindness? Who can give me an example of an act of kindness? Just helping an old lady across the street. Okay. Well, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's one of the Boy Scout things. Okay. Yeah. And an example of Hesed. If you have the desire to help someone, and that desire is coming from an honest desire to help, and not a desire to be get recognition, because it's all about the heart. Acts of kindness are all about the heart. The world stands on three foundations: the Torah, divine worship, and acts of kindness. Divine worship. David in the temple knew about divine worship. Worshiping Hashem. Our worship here at Shalom, most of it is in Hebrew. Many of our individuals don't understand Hebrew yet, okay? But at the same time, the flesh, the spirit understands Hebrew. So as it's displayed on the screens, or as you're watching it over the web, look at the screens and listen to the words in Hebrew, and as watching the insides of your body being changed by the Hebrew, and understanding that it will make a change in you. The biblical call to walk in the ways of God has been regarded from the earliest times as a call to man to imitate the divine qualities of compassion and kindness. And now, Israel, what does God require of you but to revere him and walk in his ways? And that's Devarim 10:12. And as I mentioned before, two books that you'll need in this course. One is To Be a Jew. The other one is your Torah, so that you'll be able to go to those scriptures, so that when we call them out. So Devarim 10:2. While the whole range of Jewish law may be classified on the basis of commandments, which have to do with man's relationship with God, and those which have to do with man's relationship to his fellow men, many of them, many times, they overlap. Okay, example, the Passover, removing all leaven from the home. Okay, let's see, we just went through our Passover Seder, awesome Seder here. And just prior to the Seder, we went through and we removed leaven from the home. And the one beautiful thing that we remember about leaven is leaven doesn't necessarily mean sin, but it means what puffs up to cause sin. So it's not necessarily sin, but it's that thing that would cause us to sin. Okay, so page 47 in the book, under acts of kindness. Okay. Here in this chapter, basically, you'll find many different acts of kindness there. Okay. It is a religious duty, okay, or a mitzvah, to extend the hospitality of one's home for food and lodging, okay, as it is needed. It is a religious duty or a mitzvah to visit a person who has taken ill, friends or family who regularly see the sick person, okay, should visit them. Now, let's see. It is a mitzvah to personally provide for the return of the return of a lost object if it is to its rightful owner. For it is written, you must return. Okay, and of course that's Deuteronomy 22. Laws of charity. Okay, tzedakah. Okay. Now you'll notice that we have the tzedakah boxes up front during the Shabbos, during the service. Giving. We don't spend a great deal of time talking about giving because it is part of our nature in Hesed to give. And as a young child, that's why you train up a child in the way he should go, and when he's young, when he's old, he will not depart from it, because you're teaching that child about Hesed, about giving, about giving not only finances but time, but love and giving to other individuals. Every person is required to give tzedakah according to his means. Even a poor person or poor man who is himself a recipient of tzedakah, or one who is himself sustained only on social welfare, is required to give tzedakah, even if he can only give a little. His little is as worthy as the greater sum given by the rich. But if the poor man has barely enough to sustain himself, he is exempt from giving, since sustaining himself takes precedence over sustaining anyone else. One of the things I enjoy about Torah is reasonable. Torah is not hard. It gives reasoning on how to do things and how to help others do things and help them do them in such a manner to where they don't bring hardship. And that's where the halakha comes involved here. And of course, if you have any questions about that, always get with the Beit Din and we can help you with that. Now, I'm still in the book, okay. On page 50, tzedakah shall be given cheerfully and sympathetically. If one gives in a surly manner and with gloomy expectations, even if he gives a magnificent amount, he loses the merit of his own deed. So, how is it you're to give? Now, these are just practical applications on how to give, okay? That's page 50. I'm just going to go over these just quickly. The laws of charity, page 48. Laws regarding slander, revenge, and deceit, page 52. I want to spend time there too. Lashon hara, very, very important word. Lashon hara, evil speech, speaking against. Oh, but it's true. Okay. Our responsibility is to think only good of individuals. Now, that does not mean that because we're speaking good of individuals that they are good. It does not mean that because there's an individual that has done something wrong that we're to turn our backs and say that, hey, that person is not going to take me out or do whatever. You're to use wisdom. Hashem gives us wisdom, and this is what you build up in Torah. Because Torah does give you right and wrong. It gives you the ability to understand right and wrong. It gives you the ability to be able to discern right and wrong. Okay? Being led by the Spirit, one thing, but just make sure that you're being led by the right Spirit. The Spirit of Hashem is based on Torah. It's not based on a man's beliefs or what another man's book. Okay? So understanding that how you look at a person and how you gather that person's understanding. Be aware of who you're speaking with. The Lashon Hara are speaking about individuals in a way that is not correct. In Hebrew, it's said that when you assassinate a person's character, is the same as murder. So it's in the same line. So what is it you have to say about your neighbor? What is it you have to say about the person you work for? What is it you have to say about the person you work with? They help change the way that you are. They help change who you are. They help change how you work with individuals, because Hashem is always watching you. I remember working in an environment where I'm doing my job and individuals who are in the area are basically just doing whatever they do to just talk about the environment, how bad it is, and the Lord is just saying, just stay focused on your work, stay focused on your work. And as I was staying focused on my work, Hashem was making changes in the environment around me. Hashem works on our behalf at all times. And this is what will help you on your daily lifestyle in your walk, is because you're actually going to begin to see changes. And I have seen changes again and again and again, simply because I've stayed faithful to what I'm doing and giving Him all of the credit for everything that I do. Okay. Justice, kindness to animals, laws pertaining to work and wages. All of these are discussed here. We won't take the time to go over those, but I can tell you where they are, especially that's why it's important to have your book. Laws pertaining to work and wages, page 55. How do you pay a person? Those of you who have businesses, how do you pay them correctly? How are you taking care of those who work for you? Okay, are they just another piece of meat for you to just make a quota? What is it you're doing? Torah discusses this, and you are being held accountable on how you work with them. Kindness to animals, that does not mean that, like you go overboard with them, but there are guidelines for that based on Torah. Acts of justice based on Torah. Okay, what is right? What is wrong? Who makes those decisions? Those decisions are made by Torah, okay, based on Torah. Okay, there are no middle-of-the-road actions there. Now, the world says that there's middle of the road, but God says that there isn't. I'm going to skip to chapter 7. We're going to talk a little bit about family life, a key to happiness. The family is the core of Jewish lifestyle. The family is the core of Jewish lifestyle. Again, the family is the core of Jewish lifestyle. Husbands and wives, children, husbands, how you treat your wives, wives, how you treat your husbands, how you treat each other, both behind doors and in public. Children, how do you treat your parents? Parents, how do you treat your children? All of these things are covered in Torah. The family is the core, okay? If the home is strong in the Jewish values, stable and healthy, then all of Jewish life and all of its institution, religious, educational, and social, are also on that way. Will be alive and vibrant. Okay? So everything begins in the home. In the home. In the home. Mothers have special bonds with their daughters. Fathers have special bonds with their daughters. Mothers have bonds with their sons. Mothers have bonds with their daughters. All of these bonds come into fact. You consider the father the patriarch, consider the mother the matriarch of the home. The mishpokah, the family. All of us are mishpokah. When you're dealing with items, let's say that you have a problem in your home, and you have friends over here. Well, you can get in touch with the minion, and the minion you're having an issue in your home, and you can get in touch with the sisterhood. We have resources here that are totally involved in making sure that you are not alone. So your relationship with Yeshua. Now, the one thing that this course basically takes as an assumption, these are the assumptions. Your relationship with Yeshua is healthy, okay? You have no misunderstanding about who Yeshua is, okay? You're in a marriage relationship, those of you who are married. You're in a relationship that wants change for the good. Okay? And you're teachable. Okay? The religious laws pertaining to family life therefore occupy a major part of the Jewish religious codes. These laws cover every aspect of family life. They cover from its outward appearance to its most intimate relationships. After analyzing the laws, we find that they rest on the principles on the following foundations. Respect for the integrity, individuality, and feeling of each member of the family as a human being. The development of a peaceful and harmonious relationship among all members of a household, or Shalom Bayit, peace in my home. Father, cause there to be Shalom Bayit in my home. That is a prayer that I pray often. Bayit Shalom. Please cause there to be Shalom in my home often. Okay? Recognition and acceptance of the different roles played by each member of a family. Not every child is built the same. Good parenting understands that not every child has the same parameters. And so good parenting understands how to deal with that and how to allow that to play into the family so that the family is homogeneous and that there are good signs of peace there. Maintaining spiritual purity and wholesome attitudes in the sexual relationship between husband and wife, in particular, and between men and women in general. Husbands and wives, there are times, the intimate portions of time, that they're there for enjoyment, they're there for procreation, they're there. And thank God that they're there. We did have a section here called kosher sex, but I don't think we have any young kids in here yet, so we'll deal with that a little bit. There is no doubt that the observance of the Jewish family laws have contributed mightily to stability of the Jewish family. Okay, and what are these laws? That every woman is entitled to an integrity that can only be given by Hashem. And every man must follow that. Every man must follow the integrity that should be awarded to his wife, according to what Hashem says. They provide the formula for a stable, tranquil, harmonious, and satisfying family relationship between parents and children, between husbands and wives. They do provide the formula for good, clean living and wholesome attitudes. They do provide the formula for elevating the sexual relationship, as I said before, from a form in which we do not appreciably differ from the animal kingdom. the husband-wife relationship and the parent-child relationship. Those two relationships are totally different. Okay? The growing number of family breakups among Jews today testifies. Now, I'm going to make a statement here. Divorce in Jewish families has been tremendously low, Torah-based. But even with us, if we're getting away from Torah, then we're going into what the world is doing, and those numbers will and can and do increase on how we're to act as Jewish men, Jewish women, Jewish husbands, Jewish wives, Jewish fathers, Jewish mothers. Okay? In Judaism, the general attitude toward marriage is procreation, the begetting of children. The desire to sire children is to fulfill a mitzvah, the biblical commandment, be fertile and increase. It gives a meaning to divine blessing. It fulfills the divine purpose. It makes us partners with the Almighty in the ongoing process of creation. God waits impatiently for a man to marry. One who does not marry dwells without blessing, without goodness, without peace. One who does not marry is constant sin, and God forsakes him. And I'll explain that in just a moment. He who has no wife cannot be considered whole. Now, this one statement right here, and the reason I'm going over this is because it's in the book and I want to explain it. One who does not marry is in constant sin, and God forsakes him. We're talking about individuals who just says that marriage doesn't work, it's never going to work, I'm not for it, I've seen this and I'm that. All of these assumptions are based on lies and not what God has said about marriage, and that's what we're talking about there. It is in having a wife that the sages say completes a man. The Jew is forbidden from denying his wife the satisfaction of her sexual wants. Apart from any consideration of procreation, biblical law considers intercourse as a basic duty and one of responsibility of the married man. So, gentlemen, guess what? It is our responsibility that our wives are sexually fulfilled, not the other way around. Just as he married, as he must provide for his wife with clothing and shelter, okay, as a basic right, so must he not deny her sexual satisfaction. Her food, her clothing, her conjugal rights shall not be withheld. And that's based on Shemot 21:10. Honoring parents. Let's go now on page 128. The biblical precepts underlying the relationship that must exist between children and their parents are stated in the following two Torah scriptures. Shemot, chapter 20. Honor your mother and your father, in order that your days may be lengthened on the land which the Lord your God is given to you. And Vayikra, chapter 19. Every man shall fear his mother and his father, and you shall observe my Shabbats. I am the Lord your God. Make sure that as husband and wife, you're on the same page with raising your children. Husband thinking one thing, and wife thinking another is a recipe for total death of the relationship of a child and relationship between the child and the parent. Because a child can come to the father and ask for one thing and know that the mother is not in that same environment, and so they can play both ends against the middle. Our books speak greatly about that, and also we have counseling for that, so just realize that, okay? Every parent is obligated to train his children in the observance of the commandments. It is our obligation to train our children in Torah. It is up to us to teach our children Torah. Okay? One of the beautiful things about how we speak to a child is, let's say a child comes and does something nice for me, an act of hesed. The response to me was, I bless the Father who taught you Torah, because that came through his father's acts of kindness, came through that son or through that daughter. A parent is further required to teach his children Torah and to see to it that they receive formal instruction in Jewish religious studies. One of the beautiful things about what's happening here at Shalom is coming into play here now, and with the ability to be able to create our own study environment. So please continue to keep us in prayer in that. The fulfillment of biblical precepts, as you teach them these words of Torah to your children. Skill sets. You're going to teach your children how to pray. Your children are going to watch you pray. Men, as you're davening, your children are going to watch you daven. Wives, ladies, as you pray, your children are going to watch you davening. They're going to watch you doing what you're doing. They're going to watch you shopping. They're going to watch you doing whatever. And they are going to grow up doing what you're doing. And eventually, as it says in Devarim 6:20, why is it you do what you do? Your God, our God, is saying do this, but why do you do it? So it's going to be up to you to help them understand why our God is requiring this of us. So he's our God, but you're doing it, teach me. And that's what that's talking about. That's what that's referring to. Page 133 is the relationship between husband and wives. I'm not going to go over divorce, the writ. That's there also. There's several different reasons. There's several different things there. Of course, it covers birth control. Let's take quickly going into kashrut, okay, chapter 5. Chapter 6 rather, kashrut. What is kashrut? Okay, our definition for this course, the Hebrew word that refers to the Jewish dietary laws, it is a variation of the word kosher, which means fit, proper, or in accordance with religious law. Okay? And then, of course, any food that satisfies the requirements for Jewish law is fit for eating, is kosher. Okay? And we're going to make a distinction here so that you understand this. The term kosher style does not mean kosher. Okay? So if someone has said, hey, let me invite you over for a kosher style meal, make sure you understand, what do you mean kosher style? Okay? Because kashrut, kosher, is black and white. It's kosher or it's not kosher. There's no in between. Okay. This is why kosher standards are firm and unchanging. Kosher is applied to any item that is prepared in accordance with halakha. Okay? Examples. Okay? Of course, our Torah scroll is kosher. Okay, our parokhet is kosher. The tefillin that our men use is kosher. The mezuzahs on the doors here are kosher. Even the tahalat, the blue thread in men in your zitzit, okay? It cannot be just blue. It is not just blue. It has to be a kashrut or a kosher tahalat, which is a special type of thread and color that is kosher. This means that they have all been properly made and satisfy the requirements of Jewish law and are suitable for ritual use. Okay. Now, these things come from clean and unclean. If you've heard of a clean tongue or a clean mouth, okay, Vayikra, chapter 11:44, this entire section lists what may and may not be eaten. Okay, for I am the Lord, I am the Lord your God. Sanctify yourselves and be holy, for I am holy. Devarim 14:21, for you are a people consecrated to the Lord your God. You shall not boil a kid in its mother's milk. In other words, meat and dairy don't. Okay? Shemot 22:30, you shall be holy men to me. Therefore you shall not eat flesh torn by beast in the field. This is part of the section dealing with justice and righteousness. Okay, dealing with something that has occurred on your neighbor's field and your neighbor's ox, and something that has happened that you had part of it. It's just translates into what is your responsibility of something that was caused on your land and you have to deal with. How do you deal with that? Okay. To distinguish between the clean and the unclean, not only in food, but also in other aspects of your life. Holiness meant and means becoming master over one's passions so that one is in command and control of them and not them in control of him. This is one of the beautiful things about kashrut. This is one of the beautiful things about kosher. This is one of the beautiful things about Judaism. It prompts you, causes you to have discipline. We do not like discipline. We just don't. But as you begin to daven, as you begin to get up and pray, it causes you to get into a mode of obedience. There's that O word, obedience. There's D word, discipline. We don't like those. They cause us to become obedient. Our obedience brings discipline. Those two words are not bad because they bring blessing. And that's the important thing about kashrut, is the blessings that come with it. Okay. You can go to page 100, and they'll discuss the unclean and clean, and again the forbidden foods and foods that you can eat. The ritual, even if you want to know about ritual slaughter, that is part of that. Okay, you can find that on page 106. Kosherizing meat, and of course here in the sanctuary, no, pardon me, not the sanctuary, but at Shalom, if you're wanting to understand how to kosherize your kitchens or anything, get with the sisterhood, and of course, men, get with the Beit Din, and we can help you with that. Meat and milk mixtures, like when you're eating meat, how long can you wait before you eat dairy, and vice versa. We discussed that also. Also, that's in the halakha on the website, so you can check that out after Havdalah. Of course, kosherizing your chicken. All of these are chicken. It's like okay. Classically, the usage of the word kosher is in relationship to food. The dietary laws don't just describe diet for the body, but also for the soul. Okay? They are blessings which go, there are blessings which go with the food. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamotzi lechem, borei peri hagafen, for the wine. There are just so many different blessings that cover everything that we do. Okay, a faithful Jew observes the laws of kashrut not because he has become endeared to it, nor because of pleasure, health, nor clear-cut biblical reason, none of the above is the reason for keeping kashrut. None of those. He considers them divine commandments, and he yields his will before the will of the divine, which makes discipline. So it's not because they're good, it's not because they're right, it's because Hashem said so, and that's why we do it. We'll go ahead and end there, and we'll pick up here next week.